Everyone, in this tutorial, we'll be looking at Java switch statements. Java switch statements is a variant of the if else if ladder that we did in our previous tutorial. The only difference between switch statement and if else if statement is that switch helps us to optimize our code by not writing many if and else if keywords in the body of our code. But it also helps to test multiple conditions in a code. On the right hand side is the syntax of switch statement. The first thing is the switch keyword followed by the expression that you want to evaluate. The expression is now compared with the values in each case keyword. Your value is just like your conditions. If value 1 is true, then this code will be executed, followed by the break keyword. Break keyword will only help the program to break after executing this portion of code. If value 1 is not correct, but value 2 is correct, then this portion of code will be executed. If neither value 1 nor value 2 condition is correct, then the code within the default body will be executed. Default is like else in the if else if ladder. So if any of this is not true, then this portion of code will be executed. Now on the left hand side, let us implement switch statement on bank USSD code. When you enter a bank USSD code, let's say the bank you are using, the USSD code is 123 hash. When you dial this USSD code, the following information will display: 1, my balance; 2, data slash airtime; 3, transfer; 4, pay bills; 9, exit. When a user enters any of these options and click send, then the functionalities within data and airtime will be displayed and executed. Now let us implement Java code for this bank USSD code. So I've set up what we need to do. Since we'll be reading input from the console, we'll need to declare the scanner class. Now let us display the bank name. That is system.out.println. Let's say the bank says want to display welcome to XYZ Bank. Then we want it to create a space after displaying welcome XYZ Bank. Now the next thing is to display options to select from. So what are the options we are looking at? We are looking at 1, and that is to show my balance. The next one is 2, and that is data slash airtime. The next one is 3, and that is transfer. The next one is 4, and that is pay bills. And the last but not the least is 9, and that is exit. Now, the next thing we want to accept input from the user. Then we tell the user, let us create a new line here. Enter your option. And let us declare a variable for option on 1, 2, 3, 4, and 9. And the data type for that will be int. Let us declare a variable called option equals sc dot. We call the scanner next method. Okay. Next int. And the next thing is we need a variable to store the option entered. So the variable we want to use there is choice. Since it will be storing information like my balance data, so the values there is string of data, so the data type will be string. And since we are yet to enter a choice or to store a choice, then the variable at first should be empty. So this is how to set an empty variable for string. If you want to set an empty variable for integer, you have to use 0. If you want to set an empty variable for double, then you have to use 0.0. But that is not our focus here. I'm just trying to show you how to set an empty content for a variable, depending on the data type you are using. And the next thing is to test the user input. So far, we have displayed the bank we are using. We have displayed the options the user is going to select from. Then we've declared a variable to store whatever input the user enters, and we've declared a variable that will store information that the user enters. Now, the next is to test the user input. So we'll call the switch keyword, open a bracket. The expression here that we want to evaluate with case is option. Open a brace and close the brace. Then we start with the first case. Case. The value entered when it is 1, terminate with semicolon, press enter. Then we want our choice to store my balance. Then the next thing is break. Let's copy this to do the rest. Now next is 2. And for 2, it should display data slash airtime. The next thing is 3. It should display transfer. The next thing is 4. It should display pay bills. And the next is 9. It should display 9 is talking about exit. We're not going to display anything here. So we are going to use the inbuilt exit function in Java. That is system.exit, and you pass the status 0. So that will help us to exit our program. Then, if the user does not select any of these, we want it to, maybe the user select another number that is not within 1, 2, 3, 4, and 9. He select another number, then we will call the else keyword variant in switch, which is default, terminate semicolon, and we say choice should be equals to invalid input. You'll say what? Break. Now, outside the switch body, that is where we are going to display the variable choice. So now say this to display the option selected. So say system.out.println, they'll pass the variable choice. So with this, we have been able to complete the code. So here's the switch option. Any value the user enters, it will be compared. Either it enters 1, then this part will be executed. If it enters 2, this part will be executed, and so on and so forth. Now, let us run the code. Let me extend this. Let us run the code. Yes. It's showing welcome to XYZ Bank. 1, my balance. 2, data, airtime, and so on. So let us enter an option to demonstrate the code above. Let's enter 2 and see what it is going to show for the user. Yes, you can see it shows data slash airtime. Let's try to enter another value. Let's say we enter 4. It shows us pay bills. Let's run the code again. Let's enter 9. Nothing will show. That is to say that the program has been exited. Let's run the code again and enter, probably the user probably enter WU. Press enter. It's showing us an error here that there is an input mismatch. Though we can use exception handling to handle this part so that it does not show. Let's run the code again. Let's enter 7. If you look at it, 7 is not part of the option created. Press enter and shows us invalid input. So this is how the USSD code running on your phone works. See you in the next tutorial.